Hey, Amy, thank you so much for having me on today. So I think that I'm going to start and say January is a month that you have to lead with intention. And I think that oftentimes as leaders, we forget that while we do not have control over our teams, we do have influence. And you, as the leader, should be the loudest voice of influence with your team. And if you're not, I want you to stop and ask yourself, how are you going to change that in 2019? So in fall of 2016, I went full out into consultant mode. I know you've been there. I know you're willing to admit this to yourself. I went totally, and by the middle of October into November, the first 2 weeks of December, I went full out into book, sell, repeat. Have you been there? Have you done that? And I truly left my team development bucket empty. I did not play in that bucket at all that season. If they were working, they were working. I was willing to celebrate them, to tell them awesome job, and I was totally willing to cash my paycheck, right? But I was not leading with intention. I did have some ladies promote, but quite honestly, they were promoting because of what they were doing, not because I was having intentional conversations and helping them to get there. The thing is I paid the price that January with my lowest team sales ever and my lowest paycheck as an executive director. And so when I got to last fall of 17, I stopped and knew I had to be intentional about leading the team through this. Because whether or not we are aware of it, our best customers are team members. They are our best customers. When you start as a new director, most likely the biggest portion of your paycheck is coming from what you are doing. And you should never stop partying, because if you are not partying, then how are you going to lead your team to party? You can't lead them well if you're not doing it yourself. But when you are here for the long term, eventually your triangle is going to flip. And the largest part of your paycheck is going to come from your team. You need to treat your team as your best customers, because they really are. And they proved that to us last Thursday and Friday, right? We're all going to the bank to cash that paycheck because of what they purchased. So we need to lead them into January strong. And we know that when they party, that's when they are earning a paycheck for themselves. It's when they're feeling good about their business. Consultants that have parties on the calendar do not quit. But when you walk into January with 0 parties, it is super easy to say, that's over. It's time to walk away. So how will we be intentional about getting parties on their calendar in January? So last fall, I sat down with my coach, Dana Phillips from Team Connections, and it's funny, she told me to do this. She told me to do this in the fall of 16, and I decided I was too busy to take it on. Well, fall of 17, I was ready to listen because I did not want a repeat of that past January. And so she said, run with Team Party Week. Team Party Week is where you challenge your team to hold a certain number of parties in 1 week. And her challenge to me, and I will tell you, when she said it, it was like mouth hanging open. There is no way we can do that. She said, I want you to go back to the previous January and see how many parties did your team submit. And it was a lowly 40 for the entire month. She goes, okay, that's how many I want you to hold during 1 week. And quite honestly, I took the challenge because I needed to prove to her that we couldn't do it. Did I say that? Yes, I did. So, but I went all in. I got behind it. The leadership team, my lineage leadership team, jumped on board. They got behind it. And we challenged the team to hold 40 parties in 1 week. And guess what? We did. We actually held 42. But because we were holding parties, we were scooping up those transactional sales, just like the rest of you with your outlet sale, but we were partying the whole time. And so by partying, we were back up and in action early in January. So we did it This year, we're doing it January 5th through the 13th. It's just a little more than a week, but we want to give them 2 weekends to party. And so we're back up and in action early in the month instead of waiting for the kids to go back to school and then taking the tree down. And then, well, you might as well wait for the new catalog, right? You know they've been there. You know that's the thought process going through their head. So we get them back up in action. Not only did we hold parties that first week, we booked parties for the end of January. We booked parties into February. We doubled our volume. I doubled my paycheck from the previous January. And we added 24 team members because while they were in front of people, we were talking about nothing but how to recruit your hostess and the best customer at every party. So once we got the parties on the calendar, we flipped to how do you recruit? And really took that from a big old hunk of team party week to a chunk of book parties to bites of this is how you book a party. This is who you're going to talk to. This is what you're going to say. This is why they want to do it. And really took it down into bite-sized pieces. It is not too late for you to lead this to happen, but you need to lead it. You need to stop, take just an hour or two, be intentional, lay out your plan, and then put it out to your team. But you are going to have to drive it and drive it hard. Be excited. Don't just broadcast it and hope they pick it up and run, because many of them are not even on Facebook this week. It is going to be taking personal reach outs. It's going to be everything you say, everything you do. Hey, and do you have your team party week parties? Do you have your parties booked? And this is why you want to do it. So be intentional, lay out your plan, and lead January to happen.